Happy Wednesday. That's right. It's hump day, middle of the week. Having some coffee, having an enjoyable day. How are you doing? I know half of you are really upset right now, and the other half are really happy right now, but it's going to be okay. Elections happen, elections have consequences, and we have to accept it and move forward in a positive fashion. So let's talk about entertainment today instead of politics. How about that? I think that sounds fair. So let's get right into it. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Happy hump day. That's right. The election's over. So let's move on. Here we go. We're going to talk about entertainment. You know what to do. In the description box down below are links to all the things we use and enjoy here. There's promo codes to save you some of your money. Check it out. All right. So we need to talk about this movie. I can't believe I waited so long to watch this movie. Like, there was shenanigans afoot when this movie came out. So let's look at it and we'll talk about it. All right, you ready? Here we go. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, 2024, rated R, 2 hours and 2 minutes. The British military recruits a small group of highly skilled soldiers to strike against German forces behind enemy lines during World War II. Directed by the fabulous Guy Ritchie, written by Paul Tomasi, Eric Johnson, Arash Amel, starring Henry Cavill and Alan Ritchson, Alex Pettifer, and many other people. We're going to get into it, okay? So that's what we're talking about. All right. Right as this movie was coming out, now if you don't know, Alan Ritchson plays Reacher on the Amazon Prime show Reacher. That's based on the Reacher novels, which are hugely successful and popular. And I have all of them. I've read the Reacher novels for a long time. And that series, there's been 2 seasons with a third one coming up. And it's really, really popular. For the most part, it has no identity politics in it, no shenanigans. It's just straight, like, badassery, for lack of a better term. Reacher is an extremely likable and popular character. But as this movie was coming out, or right beforehand, at some point around that time, Alan Ritchson went on some social media tirade about how cops are bad and blah, blah, blah. Just garbage, all right? Causing a huge uproar and a lot of people to get upset. So then this movie came out, and even though it has Henry Cavill in it and it's directed by Guy Ritchie, people just didn't really show up for this movie. And it's because, as per usual, a Hollywood star runs their mouth because they can't just shut up and act. And they ruin a movie that up until that point was being talked about really positively and had a great trailer. It just looked really good. And people were excited. Just like with Reacher, people were excited. But I've seen many people talking about how they will not watch season 3 or the spin-off that they're doing because he couldn't keep his mouth shut about things he knows nothing about. He's a Hollywood actor, but he's just, I just can't understand people talking crap when they're dependent on regular everyday Americans and other people to pay their salary by buying movie tickets and watching TV shows, and they talk about things that are just the social justice, like talking points of the day, and then they get upset and don't understand why people get angry. Now, when Reacher season 3 comes out, we'll see if it harmed that show. I I kind of hope it didn't, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to watch it. I watched both seasons when they came out, but I'm not going to support somebody that just jumps on the social justice bandwagon when there's something to say, if you will. But anyway, so and I got to be honest, that's why I hadn't watched the movie to this point. I just like I wanted to see it. I was excited about it. When all that came out, I was like, I'll put it on the back burner and maybe I'll get to it later. So that's what I did. And a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I'm going to rent that movie. I happen to have some credits, so it's not going to cost me anything. On Amazon, I rented it and it sat there and I didn't watch it. So yesterday, I watched it. What a great movie. Like, seriously, great movie. With one exception. I don't understand it, but the cinematographer, for whatever reason, half of this movie is so dark. We had the lights off, like, and it was still hard to see in certain spots. And that is so unenjoyable. Stop doing that. Guy Ritchie knows how to make a good movie, and he does not fail in that mission. With this movie, it's fantastic. But then when you are having to struggle to see what's going on the screen throughout almost at least a third of the movie, if not more, it ruins the enjoyment. I don't care how it looks to you when you're editing it or in the theater or whatever. Not everybody's going to watch it in the theater. A lot of people are going to wait and watch it at home. Not to mention, it's really expensive for the 4K steelbook that they brought out, like $40 or whatever. It's got one special feature out, like one little featurette. Oh man, y'all have lost your mind. Anyway, let's get to the movie. All right. This is a true story. Like, obviously, they've added some things, but this is based on a true story about a group of men and one woman that helped defeat the enemy in World War II at the behest of, I wouldn't say the military or the British government because they weren't really behind this, but Churchill set this up. And so once he did, and then the government was like, hey, this is off the books. If they get caught by the British, they're going to prison. If they get caught by the Germans, they're going to die. It's crazy. And the action is ramped up to 3,000. It's just so well done, with the exception of the lighting problem. The dialogue is quick and witty and fantastic, just like Guy Ritchie always puts it. The way he does it. It's beautifully shot, with the exception of the dark scenes. Truly beautiful. Even though it's a 2-hour movie. Now, at an hour and 40 minutes, I had to pause it and go take a leak. Yes. And I was like, holy crap, there's quite a bit left. But it wasn't because it was boring. Like, this movie will have you on the edge of your seat for 90% of it. Like, you're like, oh, are they going to get caught? Oh, who's going to die? Oh, it's fantastic. Really well put together movie. It's just that one cinematography issue of the dark scenes that are too dark. Is it hard to understand that not everybody is going to have like this top tier $6,000 like setup to play movies with all the fancy bells and whistles? Is it too hard to understand that as a filmmaker? or part of Hollywood? Like, would it hurt you? Would it hurt any part of the movie, with the exception of horror movies, because they're always in the dark? Would it hurt you to have just enough light for people to see what's happening on the screen throughout the movie? What is that? Is that a problem? I mean, do you suck that bad? Or is it just you think, well, they're just not watching it right? Which is weird because that's not usually how Guy Ritchie movies work. Usually they're bright, colorful, and this is too, with the exception of the night scenes, which are so dark you cannot see any details. You literally are. Anyway, I'm going to give this movie a good rating because it's a wonderful movie. And maybe depending on how you got your TV settings, you might be able, like you could ramp up the brightness, I guess, or whatever. Like my TV's on filmmaker mode all the time. But so it may look better if I change the settings, but I like the way movies look in filmmaker mode. I've gotten used to it. So just be forewarned. There's some really dark stuff, like dark shots, and this movie is gory as can be. Like, no joke. Like, there's some violence in this movie that's some of the, I mean, it's just well done. I liked it. I like this movie a lot. It's fantastic. So there you go. That's the review. It's a great movie. I'm going to buy it to have it on physical media because that was one of the reasons I rented it, to watch it, to see if it was worth purchasing, because I'm no longer giving my money to Hollywood when they don't deserve it. And maybe that sounds silly to some of you, but that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So there you have it. We're going to go. We'll be back on Friday. I think we're going to go back to a Kung Fu Friday. Are you excited? I am. We'll have to see what happens, right? All right. Have a great rest of your day. Stay off the interwebs. Don't get too worked up. For Michael, the microphone, Bob, squeaky chair in the back, and this big fat Guy Ritchie loving nerd, we will see you on Friday. Thank you.